You guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll jump into this thing.
I don't know about all that. My name's Justin Jaynes. I am the Guitar Hero, former UFC fighter, professional fighter since 2012. Here to chop it up with the boys on Jesse on Fire.
Yeah, so what's up? My name is Huzefa. I'm just a big fan of the sport, mixed martial arts. I love to train too, and that's how I met Justin, and we started the 10-7 MMA show. We just started in the new year.
This word keeps getting tossed around, and I heard Jesse say it once, is dominant. Here's my opinion about the whole thing is I'm not a Jon Jones fan, but I'm not a Jon Jones fan. I'm very neutral about it. I don't not like the guy. I don't like the guy. He's just a neutral fighter to me. So my opinion goes unbiased, but dominance to me is 10-8. All right. I mean, the fight only lasted 3 minutes. I mean, he caught a guillotine choke. Cyril Gane was a fish out of water. He did nothing to defend the guillotine choke. He made a quick tap, and I'm not saying that it wasn't tight. Obviously, it was tight. Jon Jones put Lyoto Machida to sleep with that. He got Ryan Bader with his guillotine choke. He has these long, skinny arms, so I'm sure it's a technique standpoint. But as you mentioned, Jesse, looking for his grappling coach going on. I mean, that's Bush League. You're fighting for a world championship, and you don't have a consistent grappling coach. I'm very disappointed to hear that. And his performance showed it, man. Like he did not that's a very basic guillotine choke, against the fence. Like he did nothing to get out of it.
He didn't even fight the hands. Literally
exactly. Number one thing you do is you get in a choke, whether it's a rear naked choke, whether it's a guillotine choke, fight the hands. Yeah. So I know I was at the gym yesterday and I had to hear everyone talk about, oh, he's so dominant, he's so dominant. I mean, dominance to me is winning every aspect of the fight. And I mean, the fight happened so fast to finish. We didn't get to check his cardio. We didn't hardly get to check his striking. Hell, we didn't even hardly get to check his wrestling. I mean, that was the first takedown he slaps on a guillotine choke. I was very disappointed with the fight. I was expecting fireworks. Huzefa knows I didn't think Gane was going to win, but I took him because he was such an underdog. I got like plus 160 on him. And, I don't mind losing bets, but to lose in that fashion at the highest level, it's Bush League. And it's not like he caught him in some strange, submission and he didn't know what to do. Like, it's a very basic guillotine. Everyone's like, oh, he's so high level. He's so high level. It's like, dude, it's a level 1 move. And Gane didn't know what to do in it. And I was really disgusted and disappointed with Gane's performance in that fight.
Let me ask you this, dude. When you were watching it, I'll tell you what I thought while I was watching it was Gane must know something that I don't know, because he is not he must feel safe because he's not fighting the hands. Like he must think that it can't get finished from there. I think that's why so many people were surprised when he tapped, was because well, if you were in trouble like that, why weren't you fighting his hands ever? If you were almost going to tap, he never did. Not even at the beginning, he never even tried to push the choke off him or anything. It was just kind of it was bizarre. It was bizarre, dude.
And that's honestly what I'm disgusted about. And Huzefa will say, I talked about it all night. And I know it sounds like I'm a Jon Jones hater. I'm not. I mean, congrats to him and everything. I don't like him or I don't dislike him. But exactly to your point, there's defense. There's levels to defense. And he didn't even do level 1 defense. I mean, worst case scenario, when you get caught in a guillotine choke, I mean, obviously Jon Jones is so powerful and maybe not, but man, try to barrel roll out, hand fight, grab the hands. If you Huzefa's watched the video, his left hand just stays up like this around his waist. He's not trying to get it in. His right hand taps. So I don't know, man. It's just, I'm disgusted with it. And it's to me, the greatest of all time to me is Georges St-Pierre. I feel like, and to compare Jon Jones to him with a lack, and I can't say it was a lackluster performance, but he didn't show me anything. You know what I mean? He took down a guy that doesn't wrestle, and now I find out right now that he didn't have a grappling coach. It's
there's obviously now the big conversation is Stipe and Jon Jones, where I'm kind of all right, that's interesting. But I think what I really want to talk about is Francis versus Jon Jones, because I'm sure that I think that fight's going to end up getting done potentially even by the end of this year. And I don't even need to get into the details of all that, but just in terms of that fight, I see a lot of people dismissing Francis's chances because they're like, well, look at how he did against Cyril and look how Jon Jones did against Cyril. Now, you're an Xtreme Couture guy, so you know as well as I knew for a month before that fight that he had a torn MCL because Markel's my buddy, and I knew. And I was like, and, you know, like, I was hearing about, like, you know, he went to see this doctor. The doctor forbid him from fighting, and he was going to fight anyway. And it's like, and so when people watch that performance, I try to explain, I'm like, dude, you can't discount how much impact a torn ligament in your knee is going to have on your ability to perform in a cage fight. Like right now, I have a torn tendon, like bicep tendon in my forearm. Like if someone threw me into a grappling match right now, they're like, you have to grapple. Like, dude, my ability to perform at the same level that I would normally is so compromised. It's crazy. And that's not an MCL. An MCL is way worse.
Yeah.
And so I just basically dismiss the performance Francis had against Cyril in comparison to Jon Jones. And I go back to the performance he had against Stipe, where it's like Stipe tried to take Francis down. Francis shook him off easily and was able to keep that fight standing. And then he starched him. So I think when you look at the Jon Jones and Francis matchup, we have no idea what you're looking at because you didn't even get to see Jon Jones strike. Like you don't know what his striking looks like. And this takedown that he was able to against Cyril, I don't think translates against Francis. And so to me, it's still the enormous blockbuster mystery that it was before. You agree?
I agree with you 100%. Francis is a freak human being. When I stand next to him, our lockers are right next to each other. When I stand next to this guy, I feel like a little kid. You know, and Jon Jones is big. You know, he weighed in at 240 pounds. But keep in mind, Francis cuts to make weight. He cuts weight to make 265. Like he's 20 pounds bigger than Jon Jones. He has the mass. If I wrestle against a bodybuilder, for instance, I can wear on him and gas him out. But that first little while, taking him down is going to be really tough, even with how much wrestling experience I do have just from size and strength alone. Now you take someone like Eric Nixick, who's been training with Francis to get his wrestling good, and that athleticism and that size and strength. I mean, I can't imagine. You know, Ray Sefo, you know, president of the PFL. You know, he trains at our gym. His locker is next to mine as well. And he was in the big cage once, and he says, I was walking by, he goes, Justin, how long do you think you'd be, how many takedowns do you think you get on me in 2 minutes? I'm like, I don't know, I'll probably get 2 takedowns. He goes, what? He goes, get your ass up here. He goes, turn that time around.
What's the way?
I shot in on Ray Sefo, who's a world-class kickboxer, and all he did was hit forward, and I hit his hips, and I just fell down. It was like running into a brick wall.
How big is he?
I'm sorry?
How big is he?
250. He's a huge world-class athlete, incredible world champion kickboxer. But just to go to show you, like, the size matters, man. And when I hit him, it was like running into a brick wall, and I fell right on my butt. And I didn't get my takedown, let me tell you that, to say the least. So to translate that to Francis, who's been focused on wrestling for the last couple of years, you know, I'd like to see it. You know, my biggest concern about Jon Jones is, you know, everyone talked about how he looked. How's he going to, another reason I took Gane in that fight is if he gets to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, how's that cardio going to hold up? You know, and unfortunately we didn't get to see. So to say dominant, it's tough because so many other things could have happened had the fight went a little bit longer or even a round or two longer. But again, hats off to Jon Jones. He showed up and he found a way to win.
If you had to pick a winner between Francis and Jon, if they were the ones that were fighting International Fight Week, who do you pick if you had to pick?
I have to pick Francis. He's my teammate. Eric Nixick is my dear friend. He's been, you know, we've been working together for over 10 years. And I just know how good of an athlete Eric is. And I know how good of the game plan would be to beat Jon Jones. I mean, Eric is an awesome game planner. He has all the tools around him. You have Dennis Davis, who he consults to with game plan as well. And I know between all the coaching staff at Xtreme Couture, they'd have an incredible game plan for Jon Jones, and Francis's athleticism, size, strength, and technique, I think, would take Jon Jones.